I'd like to talk about the power that one word can have. And it's not a specific word that I have in mind, but it's how much one word can impact your experience as an insurance buyer. And I do have an example. I'm not going to provide names or dates or details because I want to protect the anonymity of my client, but they are a startup medical clinic. They serve a very specific demographic of patients, and that demographic of patients typically experiences a higher rate of PTSD, depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. And on the insurance applications they provided to another agent, as well as some direct writer medical professional liability carriers, they indicated they were going to be doing research. And as you may know, these insurance applications, they do not give an opportunity to provide context or to elaborate on the answers you provide. So when the carriers who were reviewing their submissions saw that word research, as underwriters, they do what most underwriters do and went to the riskiest or worst possible scenario in their eyes, which was human clinical trials or working towards FDA approval for a medication or a treatment. And so they all declined across the board. She didn't have any options. That's how she ended up coming to me. And so part of the process that I take for my clients is I don't just send an application and tell you to complete it and send it off unreviewed to the insurance carriers. I like to have a conversation with you about your operation, about the services you provide or the demographic that you serve, as well as do a thorough review of the applications you've completed. And as I was doing that, I saw that word research and I asked her about it. And I asked if she was doing any sort of human clinical trials or trying to get FDA approval for either a medication or a medical treatment. And she said no, because most of the conditions that we're treating are mental health conditions. We're really just using patient experience surveys before, during, and after treatment to determine if what we're doing is effective or if we need to modify our treatment plans. And so when I asked further, I asked, is there any difference in the treatment that someone who opts into this research receives from someone who opts out, doesn't want to share that information with you? And she said, no, everyone receives the exact same treatment plan, depending on their needs. And there's no difference in the care that we provide, regardless of if someone is going to participate in our research or not. So I took that information and I went to the same insurance carriers who had previously declined to offer quotes and took the time to have conversations with those underwriters. I didn't just send emails. I got them on the phone and I walked them through what that one word research really meant, and that they were not trying to get FDA approval. They were not doing any sort of human clinical trials. And after those conversations, almost every insurance carrier that had been approached and declined previously came to the table with quotes. So my client was able to review all the different options that we could bring to her, analyze how those options differed from each other and how they might respond if there was an issue with the research they were doing, as opposed to just an issue related to care being provided. And we ultimately landed on the best fit for them, and the rest is history. We've had a great relationship ever since, and we continue to find ways to help that client and provide as much value as possible. So really the whole point of this video is to let commercial insurance buyers like yourself know that if your insurance agent isn't following up with you when you've completed an application, to ask follow-up questions about the answers you provided, the information you provided, as well as working together to craft a submission statement, or what I refer to as a narrative, to send along with the applications that they're using to get quotes. You should assume that your story is not being told accurately or comprehensively. As I said before, there's not room for context or elaboration on these applications. So when you fill that out and it's all that's being provided, your incredibly unique organization is being condensed into what fits on a few sheets of paper, and not even line by line, just blank and 1 to 2 word answers or statistics that don't really paint the full picture of your organization and what makes you different or unique compared to other organizations in your field. So if that's your experience, give me a call or send me a message, because whether or not you decide that you want to give me an opportunity, the more informed you can be as a buyer of commercial insurance, the better outcome you are almost guaranteed to have. The better experience you'll have throughout the process, and the more prepared and protected you'll be from potential claims in the future. Now, I would say that that's a very valuable thing to have.